What's up, people of YouTube? This is Roll here, bringing you guys another video to the channel, and today we're going to talk about something that I think is sad in a lot of ways, and I also think it's been a long time coming. So, as you guys probably know, Black Ops 4 has been a little bit of a disaster in a lot of ways that are hard to explain, but one of those ways is the fact that there's absolutely no communication, there's no coordination. It seems like they're just blindly dumping microtransactions into a game that had the potential to be absolutely phenomenal, and it's super frustrating to us as the consumer and to the people who love the Call of Duty franchise and can't seem to enjoy it the way we want to. So a lot of us have been pointing the finger at Activision. Some people who don't really fully understand what's going on behind the scenes, or at least none of us really do, but to people who don't really fully grasp what the development is like of a Call of Duty title, a lot of them will point at the developers themselves, whether it's Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, or Treyarch, and they'll say they're the ones who are at fault for these issues in this game. And that is not true. It genuinely is not true. And honestly, the developers are more on our side than you could possibly imagine in a lot of ways. And today I'm going to be talking about the Kotaku article that was released in regards to Activision and Treyarch. And I'm just going to be I'm going to talk about the highlights of this article that was released. I'm going to go through the things that were mentioned in the Charlie Intel article that was about the Kotaku article, because it's a really big read. But to start here, the first one that we can cover is the fact that QA, which is quality assurance, had to work extensive hours on the game, even told not to party during the game's launch window in order to ensure that all aspects were ready for launch. QA testers are being treated as second class in the offices. There was also mention in the article itself about contractors who are working for Treyarch and Activision to work on this game and to test it to make sure there's no bugs, were really upset because they were working 12-hour shifts, not being paid for overtime, working weekends, and then when the bonus season came around from the big payoff of the game and everything else, the upper heads of Activision and the heads of, like, the higher up heads of Treyarch above the developers were rolling into the parking lot and brand new Jaguars and Teslas that they were getting from their massive bonuses from the efforts of the developers, and the developers were not getting paid that at all, even though they were the ones putting in the work. And they were very upset about that. And this is another example of them being treated as second class in the offices, and it's despicable. It is absolutely despicable to think that the people who are actually busting their ass to try and make the game as good as it can be, to meet these guidelines and these deadlines that are put in place by Activision, that they just get shit on as a whole. But yet the community, and then they get the worst side of it, because in the community, a lot of the people in the community will bash on the developers for all of the problems in the game, when in all reality it's not the fault of the developers, at least not entirely. But let's move on to the next one. They scrapped the Black Ops 4 campaign in early 2018. So in my head, that means sometime between the first of the year and like April, this was scrapped. And then they launched Blackout in the game in the fall of 2018. October! Nonetheless, Black Ops 4 was originally set to launch in November of 2018, but was changed to October 12th because of Red Dead 2's October 26th launch. So Activision wanted the game to come out before Red Dead 2, which makes sense, because to the people who make content and who watch a bunch of videos, they grind the games and they buy multiple games, but most people don't buy multiple games during that season. Like, they buy 1 to 2, and it's very important to be the appealing one first. So from a business perspective, Activision thought that was a good idea, which from a business perspective it sounds like it is, but that left even less time for them to work on Blackout and the overall multiplayer, which went through massive changes, because the game was originally supposed to take place after Black Ops 3's campaign. It was supposed to be post-apocalyptic. They had to flip the script and pull everything to be before Black Ops 3 and make a prequel. And that's absolutely mind-blowing, all because Activision wanted to make as much money as possible rather than trying to make the best game possible and then letting that bring in the money. Because it doesn't matter, you know, we want a modern setting, and we're getting Modern Warfare, and that's exciting. But it doesn't matter what the setting of the game is. If the game is good, the content's good, the mechanics are good, it's a good Call of Duty game, the people are going to flock to it. Like, that's just how it works. I like to use Black Ops 3 as an example. There are a lot of people who didn't like Black Ops 3 or the advanced movement. But when you go back and you look at Black Ops 3, it is one of the most successful Call of Duty games. People really genuinely enjoyed Black Ops 3 overall. But it was not in a setting that people wanted. It wasn't, nobody wanted the jetpacks anymore. But it was still a really good game. And that is something that I feel like Call of Duty as a whole has lost. They went from making games that they wanted to make that felt like they were going to be good to making games that they think they need to chase in order to capitalize on the most money, aka Activision. So once again, the communication with us as the players and the people who spend the money on these titles is absolutely piss poor, but it's funny to find out that the communication is even worse for the people working inside the company. The QA testers in Treyarch did not find out that Black Ops is returning for 2020 until after the Kotaku article dropped and was made public. So the employees who test the games didn't even know that they were going to be testing for the next Call of Duty that was a Black Ops game as soon as 2020 until after everybody else on the planet knew. And then it says that the heads at the studio sent out emails confirming that that was the case. That is absolutely absurd and ridiculous. And I'm sorry, but I work for a company where communication is rough and it's frustrating and it feels like it's lacking. But this makes my frustration look so unbelievably pathetic. I could not imagine going in to work my job and then everybody in my town knowing that my job was going to be doing something and I didn't know yet. Like, that is beyond me that that's even a thing. The last one that I'm going to talk about here is the fact that it confirms by Kotaku that the majority of the Treyarch studio developers are frustrated with Black Ops 4's microtransactions and are struggling with Activision's decisions to force revenue. And this is something that people who really put a lot of thought into it, like I mentioned earlier, already knew. But the fact that it's being confirmed by Kotaku, it's almost like lifting a weight off of my shoulders. It's like, I'm happy for that to be confirmed and to kind of just be out in the public. Now, Activision issued a non-answer response to Kotaku. They said, basically, fuck you, we're not going to say anything about this. Because they know damn well what they're doing is not right. They know damn well that this is just dirty and wrong on so many different levels. And guys, it's so frustrating because if you look at what Activision has done, they used to be... They've always been kind of greedy. Since I'd say about Black Ops 2 to Ghost, somewhere in there, they got really greedy, and it was frustrating for, 3 years or so, 3 or 4 years. It was just kind of, oh, it's Activision, what are you gonna do? And then it turned into, holy shit, these guys are actually worse than EA. Like, EA has backed off of supply drops in a lot of ways. EA has fixed a lot of their mistakes, but Activision just doubles down. Activision thinks that we are statistics and we are a number and we are nothing but a price tag. And I guess in a way they're correct because we purchased the titles, but there's no passion behind Activision's decisions. There's no, hey, this would make a lot of money and the community is going to love it. It's just, what's going to make the most money? What's going to make the most money and satisfy the shareholders? So that way we can make even more money. And it's sickening. It really is. And I can't freaking stand it because it's like the entire gaming sphere and the community of gaming is so fragile right now because things are being pushed so hard that like everybody wants to push these live service titles. Fortnite popped off, and I think that it wasn't just Fortnite that started this. There was other games beforehand that were kind of building up to this, but Fortnite popped off with the live service model, and it was really successful, and it still is, and I love playing Fortnite, but Fortnite is not Call of Duty. Fortnite is not Madden. Fortnite is not these other games. And it's not that I don't want Call of Duty to be a live service game, but there has to be a purpose behind it. Because I have no motivation to grind out these battle passes. I have no motivation to grind out supply drops. I mean, I want the new guns, and that's about it. But the chances of me getting one are like 1 in 1,000. 1 in 1,000. I work a full-time job, and I record videos, and I stream. The amount of time, there's not enough time in the day for me to try and obtain these weapons. I really have to be lucky, unless, of course, like what Activision would want, I open up my wallet and spend a bunch of money, which just isn't going to happen. It's not going to happen, especially considering the fact that these weapons don't come back in 4 months when the new Call of Duty game comes out. I've said it in other videos, and I'm going to say it again, and I'm sorry for repeating myself. I'm just frustrated. You can't release content in a game that renews yearly, where 90% of the player base moves on to the next year's title. You can't release content in that game that is almost impossible to find unless you spend a fuck ton of money. And then you can't just move on to another title and just let that sit there and expect people to pay for that. Like, if I could take the things that I find in supply drops now and it can still be usable in the Call of Duty that releases in 2022, I would do it. I would be okay with spending money on supply drops, because I know that I'm gonna have that item forever. As long as I have an account and I play Call of Duty based off my own decision, I will have it forever. But after the end of that year, as it stands right now, after the end of that year and that Call of Duty release cycle, when they move on to the next title, I have no choice but to just say, I mean, I guess if I want to play with this gun, I'm going to have to come back to this game, but that's it. Goodbye. Like, that, it shouldn't be that way. And I don't know. I think Call of Duty needs to take a break. I think we need a solid title with consistent updates and a team of people to just bust their ass at making content on it, and it just being about the content of the game and not being so heavily focused on the microtransactions. And then take a skip year. You know, push content for that title for 2, maybe 3 years, and just that during that time, make a sick ass Call of Duty game and drop it with so much content, so much potential, so much future, and don't fuck up the microtransactions. Anyways, guys, that's all I have to say about this video. It's sad about what happened with the QA testers. It's sad that devs are being treated this way. Keep in mind, this isn't just an Activision Treyarch thing. This has been, you know, said from Fortnite developers at Epic Games. This was an issue with some smaller developing teams that I think have shut down. So it's not like it's just them. It's all over the place. It's just that Call of Duty is such a household name. It is. I'm pretty sure it might actually be the most popular game franchise of all time at this point, and that hits home. This Kotaku article, if it picks up, I mean, it's going to cause a lot of problems. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Twitter and Facebook links will be down in the description as always. If you're new to the channel, please remember to hit that subscribe button. If you're not new to the channel, and you've been around for a while, well, thank you for watching. Comment your opinion down below. And to anybody who's watching, please feel free to hit that like button. Anyways, guys, deuces.